Controversy. Many players in NFL history have been labeled as controversial. Players like Johnny Manziel, Michael Vick, and Colin Kaepernick are just a few names that come to mind. However, arguably, no quote-unquote controversial player in NFL history is better than the four-time MVP himself, Aaron Rodgers. Despite not getting labeled controversial until late in his career, Rodgers has absolutely left some fans with a nasty taste in their mouth. However, despite his beliefs and what he says online, and no matter what you think of him, can't deny how elite of a quarterback Rodgers is. Aaron Rodgers is undeniably one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL, and there may never be another player with the level of talent that this guy has. Many like to call Rodgers the best pure passer in the history of the sport, and when you take a look at his career, it's hard to argue against that. Rodgers is a four-time NFL MVP, a one-time Super Bowl champion and MVP, a five-time All-Pro, a 10-time Pro Bowler, and a first-ballot Hall of Famer. Now, someone this gifted had to have been drafted with the first overall pick in his draft class, right? Nope. Somehow, Aaron Rodgers fell all the way to the 24th overall pick in the 2005 NFL Draft. What an absolute steal for the Packers. Now, hindsight is always 20/20, but how did this happen? How did someone with as much pure talent as Rodgers fall that far? What happened to the players that went before him? In this video, we will be going over all 23 players taken before Aaron Rodgers in the 2005 Draft and how their careers panned out, starting with the first overall pick by the San Francisco 49ers, Alex Smith. Prior to the 2005 NFL Draft, nobody had any clue who would be going first overall to San Francisco. Everybody knew they were going quarterback, but the question was whether it would be Smith or Rodgers. Ultimately, it ended up being the Utah Ute, Alex Smith. Smith was coming off of a junior year at Utah where he would throw for 2,952 yards, 32 touchdowns, and only 4 interceptions, showing that he was more than NFL ready. Ultimately, these numbers were better than Rodgers in 2004, leading to him being the choice at number 1. Smith's first few seasons as a pro were rough, as he would only throw 19 touchdowns in his first 3 seasons to an absurd 29 interceptions. Smith would then miss the entire 2008 season with the shoulder injury, before finally having a season with a positive touchdown-to-interception ratio in 2009. After his injury, his interception numbers would only go up and his touchdown numbers would only go down. He would ultimately lose the starting job in San Fran to up-and-comer Colin Kaepernick before being traded to the Kansas City Chiefs, where he would make his first career Pro Bowl in his first season as a Chief. Smith would make 2 more Pro Bowl teams as a Chief before ultimately losing his job to some kid out of Texas Tech named Patrick. Smith would then sign with Washington, where he would suffer one of the worst leg injuries in league history. Nobody thought Smith would ever play again. Then he did. After missing the entire 2019 season, Smith would start for the football team in 2021, winning Comeback Player of the Year in a landslide. Some have even pushed for the award to be named after Smith after his miraculous comeback. He's no Aaron Rodgers, but Alex Smith had one heck of an up-and-down career. With the second overall pick, the Miami Dolphins would select Ronnie Brown. Brown had a solid 10-year career, but was in his prime with the Dolphins, even making a Pro Bowl team with them in 2008. After leaving Miami in 2011, his career would go completely downhill, and he would be out of the league by 2014. Solid career, but not nearly worth the second overall pick. Third overall would see the Cleveland Browns select Braylon Edwards. Edwards had a monster career at Michigan, including a 97-catch, 1,330-yard, 15-touchdown senior season as a Wolverine. Overall, Edwards would have a very decent NFL career, including a second-team All-Pro appearance in 2007 after catching 80 passes for 1,289 yards and 16 touchdowns. This would be the only 1,000-yard season for Edwards, and he would be out of the NFL by 2013, but his time in Cleveland was very impressive. Fourth and fifth overall would be 2 more running backs, Cedric Benson to the Chicago Bears at 4 and Cadillac Williams to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 6. Williams would peak in his rookie year, rushing for 1,178 yards and winning Offensive Rookie of the Year, while Benson wouldn't take off until year 5 when he was a Bengal, where he would then have 3 1,000-yard seasons in a row. 2 opposite careers, but both impressive runners. At pick 6, we would see Adam Pac-Man Jones heading to the Tennessee Titans. What a rocky career. Now, Pac-Man Jones was a very good player in his career, even making first-team All-Pro with the Bengals in 2014, but boy, does this guy have some legal issues. It all started in February of 2007 when he and rap superstar Nelly would have a very major altercation involving guns at a Las Vegas strip club. Yeah, you heard that right. His legal issues would continue for the entirety of 2007 and then early 2008 before the NFL finally cracked down on his issues. After, Jones would have a very successful career as a Bengal before, once again, getting in trouble with the law in 2017, causing his release from Cincinnati. He would be out of the NFL just 1 year later, a huge waste of potential despite his successful tenure in Cincy. With the 7th overall pick, the Minnesota Vikings would select Troy Williamson, a wideout with only 4 touchdowns in his 5-year career. Huge bust. At picks 8 and 9, 2 All-Pro secondary players would go, Antrell Roll to the Arizona Cardinals and Carlos Rogers to the Washington Redskins. In his time, Roll was one of the best ball hawks in the league for both Arizona and the New York Giants. The 2-time All-Pro is well regarded as one of the best safeties of the 2000s, meaning Rodgers was always a very, very solid lockdown corner for not only Washington, but in San Francisco as well, where he made second-team All-Pro in his first season as a Niner. Both men would finish their careers in the mid-2010s, having earned the respect of each and every one of their competitors. At 10th overall, the Detroit Lions would select Mike Williams. No, not that Mike Williams. The Mike Williams that had a horrible first 3 years as a pro, even being out of the league for 2 years before making a comeback with the Seahawks in 2010, ending his career with at least a little bit of accomplishment. With the 11th overall pick, the Dallas Cowboys would select DeMarcus Ware. We're sure you've heard of this guy. Ware was an All-Pro by his second year, which would start a streak of 7 straight seasons on an All-Pro team, including his 2008 Defensive Player of the Year runner-up season, where he recorded a league-leading 20 sacks. Many think he deserved it over the eventual winner, James Harrison, but we're not here to argue. Ware is one of the best defenders in Cowboys history and even made the NFL Hall of Fame in 2023. What an absolute legend. The next 4 picks would all make first-team All-Pro in their career. 2005 Defensive Rookie of the Year Sean Merriman to the San Diego Chargers at 12, Jamal Brown to the New Orleans Saints at 13, Thomas Davis to the Carolina Panthers at 14, and Derek Johnson to the Kansas City Chiefs at 15. 3 elite linebackers and 1 elite offensive tackle in Brown. What an utterly talented streak of players from Ware to Johnson. All except for Brown, who only had a 7-year career, had very successful and lengthy All-Pro careers. However, the next 3 picks would only play a combined 12 seasons. Travis Johnson to the Houston Texans at 16, David Pollock to the Cincinnati Bengals at 17, and Erasmus James to the Minnesota Vikings at 18. All career backup defensive players who were out of the league by 2010. This class had to calm down at some point, right? At pick 19, we would see the St. Louis Rams select Alex Barron, an offensive tackle who started 74 games for the Rams over 5 seasons before playing 1 season as a backup in Dallas and calling it quits. Pick 20 might be a name you've heard of outside of his playing career, as the Dallas Cowboys would select Marcus Spears. Spears was never anything special as a player, recording 10 total sacks over 9 years, but where he really started to shine was after he retired. Spears would become a TV personality and now regularly appears on ESPN shows like First Take and NFL Live as an analyst. Good for him. At picks 21 and 22, we would see 2 average receivers at best for their careers. Matt Jones to the Jacksonville Jaguars at 21 and Mark Clayton to the Baltimore Ravens at 22. No, not that Mark Clayton. Jones would only play 4 seasons as a pro, but they were all pretty solid. Meanwhile, Clayton came dangerously close to a 1,000-yard season in 2006, but never recorded more than 695 after that. Clayton would be out of the league in 2011 after 2 injury-riddled seasons as a Ram. Pick 23 would be the other side of the ball, as the Oakland Raiders would select Fabian Washington, a cornerback who had a solid career as a starter, including 3 in Oakland and 3 in Baltimore, but was never anything more than average. And here we are, pick 24, Aaron Rodgers. We've talked about some great players in this video, but are any of them really more valuable than the legend himself? How would you redraft the first round of the 2005 draft? Does Aaron Rodgers go first overall, or is it DeMarcus Ware? Let us know in the comments.